everyone involved for this episode needs a pay raise. Like, Cloverworks really is just hitting home run after home run with this character acting, to like the voice acting, the background music, to just the art animation, and just the way the movement is expressed in this. You can feel the love, the passion just radiating off this sequence. It's probably, I'm going to be honest with you, my favorite scene of this entire episode, because it showcases such a bond between the characters, but also the bond between everyone that's a part of the staff that's working on My Dress Up Darling for this anime series, because it just, you could tell this is a passion project. You could tell that this is love. You could tell that Cloverworks really likes what they're doing. Like, the whole staff and the entire team, you know for a fact that when they sit down and they work on this series, they're doing it out of love. There might be some hardships and difficulties maybe in production to get stuff like this out on time, but I gotta say that it's very obvious just looking at this episode in general. It's just, there's so much love here, and it's just, you don't feel this type of love all the time from every single anime project, but you can definitely feel it from My Dress Up Darling, and it was one big concern I definitely had, you know, after it being so many years. I mean, let's be honest, it's been years since Cloverworks worked on My Dress Up Darling. I mean, Season 1 ended years ago, okay? And we've been left for a long time, like, on hold, not really knowing when it would officially return until rather recently, about a year or so ago. And now that it's finally here, we're getting to actually watch it for ourselves. The art, the animation, the voice acting, everything else in between is honestly on the same level of Season 1, and I gotta say, might even be above Season 1, which is already impressive. I mean, Season 1 is just, if you go back and you look at Season 1, it is an incredible art piece as an anime. It is. And there's a reason why it's mentioned in a lot of conversation when it comes to romance slice-of-life anime. There is a reason for that. It's because of how good the show actually was, the themes and messages within the story that it tries to convey to its audience, and this episode embodies all of that. Embodies, like, all the themes and messages from Season 1 and everything that was set up, and amplifies it to 11 within this episode. And I guess the best way to segue into that is talking about this sequence. This sequence is so good for a variety of reasons, but one thing that you can really get from this is the overwhelming emotional nature of Marin in this moment. We all, at one point in our life, have experienced being sick. We're all human. We have all gotten sick either with the common cold, the flu, or something else, whatever it might be, but basically we've all gotten sick. We have all been at that point to where you feel like you're dying, you feel like you can't move, you feel like, you know, you don't think you're ever going to recover, you feel like, you know, you can't eat or drink anything, but you're really hungry and thirsty, but then someone might come into your life at that moment, maybe a parent, parental figure, sibling, whatever. They come in and they're like, here you go, and they take care of you. They either make you food, they get you a drink, they make sure that, you know, you're actually, you know, going to recover. And it's a very emotional moment because you feel like helpless, you feel vulnerable when you're in a situation of being very sick, and when someone comes up and they try to help you and they try to nurse you back to health, it feels like you're building a bond with that person. It feels like that person really does deeply care about you. So when you see this moment of Marin breaking down, she's crying and getting upset, there's layers to this. One layer, obviously, surface level, is she's in a lot of pain, she's sick, she mentions that she feels like she's going to die, she feels like she, you know, she couldn't make any food or get anything to drink, but she really wanted to eat. She is in incredible suffering. Obviously, it's a common cold, probably the flu or whatever, but it doesn't matter. People experience colds and sicknesses differently, and as someone that has experienced the flu and all that recently this year, it sucks. It's not a good feeling. You feel like you can't do anything, and it makes sense why Marin would feel that way. But I feel like what really sent her over the edge and why she truly broke down crying is the situation that the story doesn't directly tell you. You just got to get social cues, understand the character interactions to really understand why Marin broke down. And that is because she feels very bonded with Gojo. She loves Gojo, and this episode really showcases that. I'll talk about that in a moment, but the big thing is that Marin felt overwhelmed because she lives by herself. She's by herself. Nobody's there for her to take care of her. But, you know, someone comes out of their, or goes out of their way from school and all that, faking that they're sick just to take care of her, which is Gojo, and she obviously cares about Gojo. It makes her feel incredibly emotional. It's just a whiplash of emotions because it's like, wow, you must really care for me to be able to do something like this. And it's just, it makes her feel a lot better. And you can see just the entire atmosphere around her. She gets very vulnerable and acting very vulnerable around Gojo, and she appreciates him being there for her. It's beautiful. It's beautiful characterization and development between the two, showcasing that this bond is not just surface level of them just making cosplays or, you know, helping each other with, you know, making dolls or whatever. It's just, there's more layers to it. You know, them bonding throughout their days in individual tasks, which is obvious that would be the case in a slice of life, but it's nice to see. It's very nice to see that visually seen within a series. And the trope of a character being sick is very common within these type of stories. It's not something relatively new. It's a trope for a reason. But the reason why these tropes are so popular, especially the sick trope, is because it allows us to see a character in a different form, a different state. Because we gotta look at Marin in her natural environment, how she normally acts within the story. Even throughout this episode, she's very outgoing. She's very expressive. She says it like it is, and she just, that's how she's always been. She's just very expressive. So seeing her very meek, very quiet, very weakened, not really being able to move around as much as she normally does, it's a different side of Marin we don't really see. And that is another side that helps to build the character growth between Gojo and Marin. And like I said, that's why I love these type of stories. It's just great. I mean, people might think that slice of life stories don't have a lot of depth to them. There's not a lot going on, but there is if you really pay attention to the character acting. But it also comes down to how good the writer is, because you can have this exact same plot written in another manga and it's just incredibly boring and there's really nothing going on because the writer doesn't really kind of expand upon the emotions and the messaging of it. And in this case, thanks to not just a good writer that wrote the manga of My Dress Up Darling, but also the animators at Cloverworks and freelancers that worked on this scene, it expanded upon it and made you feel so much emotion from it and brought the scene to life to a whole nother level from the manga. So yeah, enough glazing on that end. I just gotta say, love this moment. Probably one of my favorite moments of the episode. Now, speaking about the entirety of the episode, there is a lot of core themes that get tackled on, multiple sequences that expand upon new characters that are getting introduced, and different things like that. But one thing that is very important about this episode is Marin and Gojo's relationship. Go figure, it's a romance story. But we get to see confirmation fully within this episode that Marin is deeply in love with Gojo, but Gojo seems to be unaware. Or he's aware, but he feels like he's not worth that love. And let's talk about that. Gojo in this episode has multiple moments with Marin that showcases how deeply he cares about her, but also how it kind of hints at the fact that he feels like he doesn't deserve her to a romantic degree. Marin in this episode, it opens up that she's asked a question, so is Gojo. Are you guys dating? Which makes a lot of sense. Everyone on the outside, us included, looking at Marin and Gojo's relationship, we would assume they're dating. Because they are very close, they go to conventions together, they go to parties together, they hang out at each other's homes together. Anyone seeing their relationship and how they are very friendly with each other would assume they're going out. It's a very common conclusion to come to. It doesn't take a rocket scientist to assume that. And the thing is when Gojo was confronted with this, he immediately denied it and said, no, we are not dating, and basically the scene became a little bit awkward, and obviously Marin kind of got up and left because she had to do some stuff, and it wasn't like she got upset and emotional about it for confronting Gojo about it and acted very mean or cold shoulderish, but when she got some alone time, she started to think to herself, man, he must really not like me, he must hate me. And Gojo, in his moment, he realized how bad the way he said it was just very awkward and not right. He realized that he could have done it in a better way. And I feel like what makes this scene so interesting is because there is multiple moments that has implied throughout the story indirectly that Gojo feels like he is not worthy of Marin's relationship. He's not worthy of being with her because she's just so out of his league. That's how he probably views the situation. But Marin obviously doesn't feel that way. Besides, obviously, her talking to herself about maybe he hates her, we see, you know, her kiss him secretly on the cosplay outfit, like the Halloween party outfit. She kisses him and he doesn't even really know what it is. He misunderstands it. And I think it's a really interesting dynamic that Marin's getting more bold about her her situation and her interest with him. She's not fully hiding it as much anymore. But I also think with you have a character like Marin or anyone that is just actively going in cosplay and just showing everything, all their assets and all that, I think it's pretty safe to assume that they might be into you to some degree. But I think Gojo, it's not him being dense. I don't think it's him being fully dense about the situation. It's more or less him just not wanting to destroy the relationship, because he feels like if he admits that he loves her, or if he tries to say I love you or whatever, it might break their relationship. He might feel that way. So yeah, it's very complicated. I like this episode for that, because it adds some layers to it, and clearly it eventually needs to be addressed. Now, with all that being said, there is an elephant in the room. Kind of hilarious to say that in that context, but there is an elephant in the room to talk about, and that is the ending sequence of the episode, which is this new character that is introduced. And, oh boy, where to begin with this character? So, I like the character, want to just say, nothing wrong with the character, okay? But I already know that what's going to happen with this character. Yeah, like, it might not happen today, it might not happen tomorrow, but as this series progresses, we're going to get a lot of drama from this character. Like, we're going to get, not drama because of the series, but because there's going to be people on social media, not just, let's say, on Twitter, but on YouTube, on Reddit, and everywhere, that's going to look at this scene, and it's going to turn out just like the Yamato discussion. If you don't know what I'm talking about Yamato from One Piece, and how Oda himself clarified that Yamato is a girl. But obviously social media thinks that they know better than the author. And this character, for clarification, if you haven't watched this episode for whatever reason, is a dude, but cosplaying as a girl. And it's very clear by the way the character is presented and how the character acts, that the character just likes to dress up like a girl. That's it. They just like basically cosplaying and cross-dressing. It's a very common trope, very common theme within manga and anime. It's happened thousands upon thousands of times. But we live in an era, in 2025, to where if you cosplay as the opposite gender, people assume that you want to basically be that gender, when that's not always the case. Just some people like to cross-dress. That's how it is. And I could see this situation leading to a lot of drama, similar to the Yamato stuff. I don't know if it'll reach to the same toxicity, but this is my dress-up darling. This is a very popular series. This isn't like a under-the-radar story. A lot of people recognize this story. A lot of people know about this story. Hell, a lot of people get upset that you even mention it as fan service, which is just wild. I mean, that's why I titled my video like that last week with someone going to jail, because if social media was in control, they would jail you for even watching something like this. They would never allow something like this to exist. But then they would critically consume this and think like, oh yeah, just because I critically consume it, you know, I think this content is bad, but it's okay because I critically consumed it. It's just, there's a lot of hypocrisy and a lot of people that just really stretch reality thin when it comes to stuff like that. But yeah, I'm not looking forward to the toxicity around this segment of not just this episode, but the character as the series progresses. But I'll leave it at that. Overall, great episode. Love my dress-up darling. Happy to have it back. It is honestly the highlight of this anime season for me personally. What do you guys think about the episode? Did you enjoy it? Did you hate it? Be honest in the comments below. But be safe, stay healthy. Chibi out.